As of me recording this video, Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 1 is set to premiere in just around 2 weeks. It's no secret that Dragons Rising Season 3 has had an insane amount of hype, so I thought, why not take this opportunity to talk about Dragons Rising as a whole. It's been almost 2 years since the beginning of Dragons Rising, and from great episodes to terrible episodes to everything in between, I'm going to be looking at it all to try and answer the question, how exactly did Dragons Rising save Ninjago? To judge Dragons Rising, we first have to look at what came before, and by that, I mean the 11-minute era. I don't think the 11-minute era was particularly terrible, but it wasn't particularly great either. Don't get me wrong, some individual seasons were pretty awesome, but as a whole, the era really didn't do all that much to expand the world of Ninjago or even grow the ninja as characters compared to the first 10 seasons. Plotlines were sometimes literally just copy-pasted from earlier seasons, and the best way I can describe these seasons is fun. They were fun, they weren't all that boring. A couple of seasons like this were kinda needed to lighten the mood after an extremely dark Oni trilogy, but if Ninjago kept going on like this, it ran the risk of eventually becoming boring and uninteresting. Crystallized as a finale is a perfect example of this. It's a somewhat enjoyable season, but it fails completely as a finale because it didn't really have the effect a finale should have. It was clear that Ninjago needed another makeover. The defining event that sets Dragons Rising apart from other seasons of Ninjago is the merge. Basically an event that smashed all 16 realms into Ninjago to create one big landmass. Initially, everyone was excited about this because it allowed for so many more stories, and over time, it seems like the writers have just been using this better and better. I believe this by itself is pretty much the perfect antidote to the 11-minute era because almost every 2 or 3 episodes, it seems like we're learning something new about the merged world. The story, the world, and the characters are all growing instead of just returning to the status quo like the majority of the 11-minute era. This presents so many more new threats for the ninja, which is gonna make for so many interesting stories that can be smoothly integrated and don't only have to happen because Master Wu forgot to tell the ninja something. From early promotional material, it seems like Dragons Rising Season 3, we're gonna be learning a lot more about dragons as a whole because the main villain Thunderfang is a fallen dragon hero. Not to mention, by the end, the 11-minute era had begun to feel a little bit repetitive. It just became the ninja defeating new enemies over and over again. Yeah, these seasons all had different vibes and storylines, but the basic premise was the same. But in Dragons Rising, especially the later episodes, it's not like that at all. The writers are taking more risks with the characters and the storylines. There's always some new threat. Something I personally like is that the ninja never fully win. Yeah, sure, the ninja might have taken back all the powers from Noct, but all the Forbidden Five are loose, and Aaron's evil, and Jade's lost his memories. I feel like it's just a lot more fun to spice it up, and not have the ninja defeat the bad guys over and over again. That's my next point. No one can deny that the revival era of Ninjago, seasons 3 to 7, had some great seasons, particularly seasons 4 and 5, but I think the era had a similar problem to the 11-minute era where it just kind of made for a directionless show because all the seasons were so different in terms of writing. Like I said, this is fine for a while, but it's just so much more satisfying to watch a show that has direction. The reason the final battle in season 2 was so impactful was because we spent nearly 30 episodes building up to it. The reason Lloyd and Garmadon's battle in Hunted was so emotional because it had been built up since the beginning of Sons of Garmadon. On the contrary, you have stuff like the Vengestone Buyer plotline, which was extremely unsatisfying because it had no build-up. Sure, maybe you had 2 or 3 scenes where the ninja talked about the Vengestone Buyer, but that was it, literally 2 scenes, at the end of Master of the Mountain and at the beginning of Seabound. That's why when it was revealed that it was Harumi this whole time pulling the strings, well, I just didn't really care. Great stories need build-up, and the payoff is so much more satisfying when the build-up has been going on for a long time. But, just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Dragons Rising had the difficult task of having its own identity, but at the same time serving as a follow-on to the Ninjago TV show. Not only that, since LEGO marketed Crystallized as the big finale to Ninjago, Dragons Rising also had the task of bringing back people who wanted to just stop watching the show after Crystallized. Another positive thing that I'm seeing coming out of Dragons Rising is that there's just been a lot more discussion. I've seen so much more discussion coming out of Dragons Rising than I've seen in the Ninjago community for a long time. Heck, even I started my channel around 10 months ago to talk about the new show and the sets. It's because Dragons Rising keeps introducing new and cool pieces to Ninjago's already massive lore, and by no means do we know everything yet. There's so much mystery surrounding the merge, the Source Dragons, Lord Roz, Thunderfang, Jay, and so on and so forth, and this allows for there to be speculation. Dragons Rising's commitment to not explaining everything right away just makes it so much more interesting than the Wild Brain era, at least for me. Still, Dragons Rising isn't a perfect show, not by any means. There's certainly things to criticize. Certain episodes felt unnecessary and a big waste. For example, in Season 2 Part 2, when the ninja go on a side trip just to promote the new ninja combo vehicle. Dorama is one of the worst Ninjago characters of all time, but that's the beauty of Dragons Rising. Because they have a long-term plan, these episodes, while annoying, are largely unimportant because the story gets right back on track, leading up to the next major thing that needs to happen. Besides, I think the pros far outweigh the cons. We've finally gotten some much needed character development for people like Kai, and let's face it, this is the most interesting Jay has been in nearly a decade. Plus, the new characters, Eren, Sora, Egot, Rontu, even the villains, Lord Ross, these characters have been written fantastically, and it's been a pleasure to watch them on the screen, and I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing next. Not gonna lie, at first I was a bit skeptical of Dragons Rising, not because I thought it was bad. Season 1 Part 1 especially was very good, but I was really unsure as to how the writers' plans would pan out over the long run. But now, almost 2 years and 40 episodes later, I have to say I am completely hooked. Dragons Rising was a bold new direction for Ninjago, but I'm glad they took it. So, is Dragons Rising peak Ninjago? I know it's been a hot topic of discussion since the first 2 seasons have been phenomenal, but I would say, wait. The truth is, the first 2 seasons have been mostly set up, getting introduced to the characters, the villains, the new world, and I feel like the good part is still yet to come. Only in the latter episodes of Dragons Rising Season 2 did we get a little bit of payoff, with us learning more about Master Wu and the Merge. Now we got this whole situation with Thunderfang and the Forbidden Five, not to mention we still don't know what Roz is up to. Dragons Rising has shown us that it can be good, but it still has a little bit to do before I start calling it peak Ninjago. That being said, it is very obvious that Dragons Rising has done a whole lot of good for Ninjago. That's why I wanted to make this video right now. Dragons Rising had a whole lot of positives that weren't immediately recognizable, but now with 2 years of hindsight, it's really clear to see that every decision they made had a purpose. More importantly though, I think it's finally set Ninjago on the right track for success, and it shows. The hype around Dragons Rising Season 3 that I'm seeing is much bigger than usual, and that's for a lot of reasons. Dragons Rising Season 3 is going to be handling so many plot lines. Jay, Eren with Roz, the Forbidden Five, Thunderfang, the Ninja. It seems like even Ericor the Jin is coming back. Not only that though, but I think that a big part of the Ninjago community, including myself, have come to really trust the head writers Doc White and Kevin Burke because of the last 40 episodes of Dragons Rising, and I, for one, can't wait to see how they're gonna handle these episodes. But Dragons Rising hasn't just impressed with the show. The sets have been some of the best Ninjago sets ever in my eyes, and if you want to see me rank all of these sets, make sure to check out this video. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.